So hi everyone, today we are going to talk about key value store. In the previous video we have already talked about databases, relational database, non-relational database, SQL, non-SQL, then we have asset transaction, database indexing, a lot of things. So this is going to be a very short video about key value store. So for that, let's take an example of a school yearbook, a school digital yearbook. So imagine there's a school's digital yearbook where each student's photograph can be retrieved using their unique student ID. So we will have two things. We will have key, that is going to be student ID, student ID. Then we are going to have value. Value is going to be photograph of this student. Cool. So obviously the whole thing will look something like this. This is it. Here you're going to have ID, let's say 1, and here you have photograph. Then you have ID 2, then you have another photograph, then you have ID 3, then you have another photograph, something like that. So this is the way you are going to store every time a photograph. Now let's take a example of how a typical query will look like. Suppose there is a key that has ID S1001, and then you have the value. The value is the photograph of this person. Let the name would be John. Cool. So with John's photograph is taken for the yearbook, it is stored in the key value database with the key of S1001. And suppose you want to retrieve this photo now using this key. So anytime someone wants to view John's yearbook photograph, they just need to provide this particular key to this table, to this hash table. They just provide his student ID and the system returns the corresponding photograph. Now suppose you want to update this photograph. In that case, if John's decide to retake his yearbook photograph, the photo will replace the old one. What you have to do, just call this function, this key, and just update the value. Simple as that, nothing fancy. So in a keyword, if someone wants to define a key value store is a flexible NoSQL database that's often used. Flexible NoSQL database. You need to remember this. Flexible NoSQL database that's often used for caching and dynamic configuration, because caching is a very important part, and obviously, as I see you, dynamic configuration. So obviously there are a lot of available key value store operators that are available online. So let's look at a few of them. So I will just take it here, and let's talk about one of them, which is etcd. Cool. So you must have heard about like etcd or Zookeeper or Redis, but let's discuss about them in a bit detail, how they play. So etcd is a strongly consistent and highly available key store. It also has something like this 1,2 that's often used to implement leader election in a system. What is leader election? For now, just imagine like that. You must have remembering you have load balancers here which decide where things go. So suppose this load balancer dies, another one should come into play. So this election that happens is known as leader election, and etcd is responsible for this. So that's in one line how etcd is very helpful when it comes to leader election. Now you have another one, that is Redis. You have Redis. Now, as it is an in-memory key value store, it does offer some persistent storage option, but it is typically used as a really fast best method caching solution. Suppose you want to cache something, for X you have Y, for Z you have K, something like that. Redis is used for that. But not only this, Redis is also a rate limiting service. Now what is rate limiting service? Suppose you have a website, you have made a website, and there is a button of confirming. Now if there is a attack on your website and there is a bot which taps your button 1000 times in a single minute, this is going to make a website crash. And suppose 2 to 3 bots come, then your website would be gone forever. So to prevent this, there is Redis, which actually rate limits everything. This was a typical example. Now let's consider one more case. One more. You have Zookeeper. Zookeeper. Cool. So Zookeeper is a strongly consistent, highly available key value store, and it is often used to get important configuration or to perform leader elections. Same as that. Now, actually, for instance, systems like Kafka, if any of one of you has worked with data, use Zookeeper to manage brokers and maintain leader-follower relationships among them. So it's owned by one of the most famous companies, Apache, and is distributed coordination service, that provide tools and APIs to write distribution applications. So it makes sure that you have reliability, you have scalability, and high availability. These are the three things it provides. So each of these databases, while being a key value store at its core, have distinct feature and advantages tailored to specific use case in the vast realm of distributed systems. So that was it from my side for this video. In the next video, we are going to talk about special storage systems like blob storage, time series database, something like that. And it is going to be a very interesting video. So thank you and have a nice day.